Everyone, so today I'm going to be talking about the unexpected single mom. If you see me talk really low in this video, it's because a sore throat is about to happen. I can feel it. I'm feeling it a little bit, but I really am determined to do this video today and to get it out today. It's been on hold for quite some time, so even though I've got the sore throat going on, I'm still going to go ahead and do it. Okay, so I might be talking low, but I'll make sure that the volume, it would be perfect for this video. So we're going to talk about the unexpected single mom. And what do I mean by the unexpected single mom? So the unexpected single mom is a lady or a woman who didn't plan on getting pregnant for a man. So she may have been in a long committed relationship. She didn't plan to get pregnant. She's not hoping to get pregnant, but she got pregnant. And then all of a sudden, the guy decides to leave. He comes up with different excuses as to why to leave. And then he left. Or maybe you were the side chick, you were the mistress, and you were dating a man who's already married, and you thought it was all fun and games. And then later on, you got pregnant and everything starts to crumble. Or maybe you were engaged to a man and eventually you got pregnant, and then the guy decides to leave, and all of a sudden your love life decides to crumble. Or maybe you were the second wife or the girlfriend to a married man already, and then you got pregnant, and you know, all that kind of drama. So that is the unexpected single mom. You see a lot of this in the celebrities world, where you might see a girl who's been a girlfriend long term to a celebrity man, and then she gets pregnant and then the relationship crumbles, or after she gives birth the relationship crumbles. So that's what I mean by the unexpected single mom. Now I am going to do just a little bit of preaching today. You guys know that I'm a Christian, I'm spiritual, and everything that happens here has happened before to somebody. And I truly believe that the Bible in the Old Testament are life stories for us to learn from and to know what to do and how to handle life and every situation that comes our way. Now, there is a single mother in the Bible. The unexpected single mother in the Bible is Hagar. Okay, Hagar, her story in the Bible is not too long, but it's something that we can learn from, because she never planned to be a mom. She was a slave to Abraham. Okay, she was one of Abraham's maids, but she became pregnant. And she had hopes and expectations that she might be Abraham's second wife. But when she got pregnant, I think she soon realized that she wasn't going to become that second wife, but she was still going to stay as a slave. So that's who we're going to look into today. And I'm going to relate it to the unexpected single mom right now, and what to do, how to handle life, and how to go about things. Okay, so I've explained to you all what the unexpected single mom is. I'm just going to look at my notes because I don't want to forget anything that I'm about to say in this video. So if we go into the book of Hagar, I'm just going to give you a brief story of this woman. It's in the book of Genesis chapter 16, the story of Hagar. She is one of Sarah's maid, Abraham's maid. Abraham and Sarah are a couple in the Bible, married couples who are very old, and they were hoping that someday they will have children. Now God has given Sarah a promise that they will have a child, but Sarah wasn't patient enough, and she felt like time was going. Her and her husband are really old, and she doesn't see it happening. So one day, bear in mind, I'm just giving you the brief. If you do have a Bible, take your time to read that Bible to learn more from it. So one day she decided to read, she didn't decide to read. One day she suggested to her husband for her husband to sleep with one of her one of her maid called Hagar. Okay, so I'm just going to read that verse for you. Okay, in Genesis 16, verse 3, it says, "And Sarah, Abraham's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abraham, and dealt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband to be his wife." So Sarah's plan was for Abraham, her husband, to have children through Hagar, and for Hagar to be the second wife. That was the plan. And I'm pretty sure Haggai was aware of the plan. They would have told her that, look, I want you to have children for us. In this day and age, that would be called surrogate, I believe. But back then, it wasn't called surrogate. So they told Haggai that, look, we want you to help us to have children. And in return, you're going to be the second wife to Abraham. And, you know, back then, even though they didn't have a lot of cash or money, Abraham was wealthy. Okay, Abraham had a lot of wealth. Wealth back then was measured differently to the way it is measured now. So to Haggai, it would have been like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get with a rich man. That's what it would be like today. I'm going to get with a rich man and I'm going to be his second wife and I'm going to have his kids. So I no longer have to do this maid stuff. I'm no longer, you know, a slave anymore. My life is getting upgraded. She had all these expectations, just like the way a young girl in this day and age could be in a committed relationship with a man, hoping that, okay, we're going to get married, we're going to have kids, we're going to live in a lovely house. Or you're with a rich dude who's already married and you think, oh, I'm going to be the second wife, I'm going to be that young looking sexy little wife beside him. This is how Haggai's life was portrayed. This is probably how she imagined it. This is probably what she was thinking, right? Now, if we go on to the next verse, it then says, and he went in unto Haggai, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. So the minute Haggai conceived, the minute she was able to get pregnant, there was now a bit of conflict between Haggai and Sarah. There was a bit of conflict there. You know, woman to woman, that conflict may not be argument. It may be haughty eyes. It may be the hisses. It may be those little things that men don't notice, but woman to woman, we know what it is. So there was a conflict there. And I think the reason why it was happening is because Sarah kind of felt like, well, if Haggai gets pregnant, she's still young, her body is still fresh, maybe her husband might end up falling in love with her instead. I believe maybe that's why Sarah had an issue. Maybe Sarah didn't realize the gravity of what she had done, and she didn't realize that this would actually turn into a real pregnancy. Okay, so then if we then go to the next verse, right, it now says, Sarah said unto Abraham, my wrong be upon you. I have given my maid into thy bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes, and the Lord judged between me and you. And then Abraham told his wife, the maid is in your hands, do to her whatever pleases you. And when Sarah dealt with her hardly, she fled from her face. Okay, so Sarah had complained to her husband that, look, ever since Haggai got pregnant, now she thinks she can take my position. Now she thinks she's all that. Now she thinks she's the boss, blah 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 blah. And Abraham was like, look, at the end of the day, this was your idea, not mine. So whatever you want to do to her, do to her. And Sarah started dealing with her in a way that she didn't like, and Haggai ran away. Okay, so this is me giving you a brief background. Please do read the Bible to get more of that story. So when Haggai ran away, this now relates to what happens in this day and age when you get pregnant for a man that isn't yours. Usually the unexpected single mother is usually getting pregnant for a man that she's not meant to be with, a man that doesn't belong to her, that belongs to somebody else. And then the pregnancy tends to show people's true character. For the man that belongs to somebody else, what tends to happen is you don't get full support from his family. So let's say you were in a long-term relationship. Both of you maybe had plans to get pregnant, and maybe the man's parents didn't know that, and he was probably on his way to introducing you, or maybe he hasn't introduced you and then you got pregnant. His parents are not going to give you full support because legally you're not part of the family. You're not wifed up yet. Or maybe you got pregnant for a man who's got a wife already. He will forever put his wife first before you because his wife has been introduced to all the members in his family. So he's held accountable to be loyal to that wife and not to the second person that hasn't been introduced to the family. So in Haggai's situation, okay, everybody knows that Abraham and Sarai are husband and wife. But bear in mind, Haggai is not the only maid that they've got. They've got many maids in that household. So when all the maids found out that, oh my God, Haggai got pregnant for Abraham, Now she's looked at as the intruder. Now she's looked at as the bad person. Now she's looked at as, oh, she's trying to sleep with our boss and all of that. She's looked at as the bad person because she hasn't been introduced to any other member of the family. She was not introduced worldwide as my second wife. It was just said, but it wasn't actually done. And this is why it's so important for the ring and the marriage certificate to be signed before you get pregnant, because if not, you won't get support from the family of the man's side. You're not going to get their support. And to be honest with you, they don't have to support if he hasn't introduced you legally as his wife. Girlfriend don't mean nothing. Okay, it doesn't mean anything. When your man dies, they're not asking where's the girlfriend. They want to know whether he's got a wife or he's got parents. That's what the law recognizes. They don't recognize girlfriend. They don't recognize what's the other one that people do? Promise ring, partnership. All of that is, there's no recognition in the law of the land. It's either wife or family members, next of kin. Okay, so this is the situation of Hagar right now. Now, if we read on the verse 5 and 6, it says that Sarah was being mistreated. Sorry, it says Hagar was being mistreated by Sarah, which obviously means that the treatment that she was supposed to get as a second wife, Hagar didn't get that treatment. Okay, she was still getting treated as a maid, and she was probably getting treated worse than all the other maids. And bear in mind that she's pregnant. When you're pregnant, that is a very fragile season of a woman's life, because now it's not just you, but it's you plus one. It's you plus a baby. Okay, and the way she was treated was terrible. I have heard so many young girls who've gotten pregnant outside wedlock for a man, and how they have toxic issues with that man's family. They were expecting the man's parents to speak some sense to the guy that they got pregnant for, and they did not. If anything, they even support his stupid behavior. I've seen this so many times. I've heard of girls who've accidentally got pregnant for toxic men, hoping that the family member, hoping that the mom would understand, hoping that the dad would speak some sense into his head, and they don't get any help. They get no help at all. And they have to forever, they feel like they have to forever deal with that parent, because there's a child that's kind of keeping the connection there. Okay, so it's the same thing that would happen in Hagar's situation. She got pregnant for Abraham, hoping that, okay, maybe Abraham would defend me with his wife treating me like that. Maybe Abraham would say, oh, you know what, Sarah, take it easy. She's like 6 months pregnant, you know, she needs a bit of care. She needs a bit of pamper. No, she didn't get any of that. There is, in all these verses, right, there is no verse that says, oh, and Abraham visit Hagar at night to, you know, show some love, to give her some pamper, to give her kind words, or Abraham treated her differently. There's no verse. So that obviously meant that Abraham just slept with her, bam, 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 boom, and he walked out. And the rest is in Sarah's hands. That's exactly what he did. And that's exactly what some young girls go through. You sleep with a guy, he bam, 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 boom. You tell him he's pregnant. You tell him that you're pregnant, and he's out the door. He don't want to hear that. He don't want to know about your hospital appointment. He don't want to know about the gender. He don't want to. He doesn't care. He doesn't want to be involved. If anything, he looks for a way to blame it on you, that you got pregnant, as if you did it by yourself. That's what Hagar is going through right now. Is when a man doesn't introduce you to his family as his wife, do not expect to receive support from his family. Don't expect it. It doesn't matter what that guy says to you. It doesn't matter if he tells you, you're the love of my life. I've never met a girl like you. You're better than my wife. You're more prettier than my wife. You cook better than my wife. I just feel safe when I'm in your hands. Oh my God, I just want to see you more. I don't care about my wife, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. If he has not introduced you to his family that this is the woman I'm going to marry, I have put a ring on her finger, we are planning the date on bam, 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 boom, forget it. They're not going to support you if that guy does something wrong to you. The only time your partner's family are obliged to support you, defend you, help you, is when you have legally become part of that family. You've legally taken up his surname. You've legally become part of his family by signing marriage contracts. Because a lot of people would say, oh, it's just a paper. It's just a piece of paper. It doesn't matter. Do you go for a job for a permanent role without signing a contract? If you don't sign a contract, what does that mean? That means your manager can sack you anytime, any day, any place, anywhere. It's the same thing with a relationship. So until the contract has been signed, then his family are obliged to step in and help wherever they can, whenever they can. Even if they don't do it, they are held accountable by a lot of people to do so. So this is why it's important that the introduction is done properly. Don't help a dude. You're not even helping a dude you're not helping a dude by getting pregnant for him when he's not asked you to. He's not asked you to, and you're getting pregnant for him. You're not helping him at all. You're making it worse. You're making the situation worse for him, and you're also making the situation worse for that child as well. Now, if we go to the next verse in that same scripture, and that says Hagar ran away. Okay, because when you're dealing with a toxic family member, bear in mind it's not Abraham that's giving her a hard time. It's Abraham's wife, Sarah, who suggested it from day one, that's now giving her a hard time, and now she's running away. We all have that family member. We all have at least one or two family members that we don't like, that are toxic, but we know deep down that they're never going to change, and we know deep down that no one's going to hold them accountable. And sometimes we pray to God to actually get them out of our life, or sometimes we just want to throw them away, or sometimes we just want to run away, but financially you can't even do that. Okay, so Hagar thought, you know what, I think it's time to leave, because I can't tolerate this disrespect. I can't tolerate the level of disrespect I'm getting, the way other maids are looking at me, and Abraham's not saying anything. Abraham's not even doing anything about it. Abraham doesn't even care for me. He doesn't even care how his wife is talking to me. He doesn't even care about how I'm treated in the family. Some of you are going through that right now. You're pregnant for a dude that isn't your husband, and you're expecting his mom to talk to you. You're expecting his mom to support you. Instead, she's doing the opposite. She doesn't even know that you exist. She doesn't even want to know what the gender of the child is. She's treating you like an outcast. Or some of you have your own family members who are treating you like that because you got pregnant for a guy that isn't yours, and therefore they want to shame you for that, right? So you feel like the best thing is get out of this situation. I don't want to deal with you. Run away, or stop talking to your family members altogether, because that's what Hagar was trying to do. She wanted to stop talking to her family members. You have to remember that back in biblical times, these maids live with their bosses. It's not like today where they can go home. They live with their bosses. They live there forever. They don't have their own home. Their boss's home is their home. That's how it's done in the biblical days. This pregnancy that Hagar conceived of would make her realize that she was never going to be upgraded to a wife. And this is a reality check for a lot of women who have expectations that, oh, you know what, if I just, got pregnant for him, it'll keep him around, or maybe I'll get that ring, or his family are looking for, a boy son. So maybe if I keep this around, I'll upgrade to that level. They'll respect me more. But no, she still stayed at the same point. You have all these expectations of being a wife while you're pregnant, just to find out that you're not going to upgrade to that level. And that's how Hagar felt. She felt like, you know what, I thought I was going to be that second wife to that rich man. I thought I was going to be the second wife to that high value man, just for me to stay downgraded to being a baby mama, just for me to be staying at the same level where I am, that I didn't expect myself to be in this stage, right? So upon Hagar running away from her family, thinking that she can lose connection with her family and all this problem will go away and she can just live a peaceful life, the Lord Jesus decided to visit her. Well, Jesus didn't exist at that time, so the Bible says the Lord decided to visit Hagar while she was running. The Lord did not physically come down, but she heard that voice, she felt that presence, and the Lord came to her and told her to go back to her family. Now, you're probably wondering, why would God tell you to go back to a place where you're disrespected? Why would God tell you to go back to a place that you're not happy? To go back to a place where you don't feel good, you don't feel like you're being honored, you don't feel like you're being respected. Let's not forget that Hagar is not going through domestic violence, okay? Sarah didn't hit her, Abraham didn't hit her, but she was being mistreated, being disrespected. So why would God tell her to go back to that situation? One thing I've noticed, like I said before, everybody got a family member that they don't like. Everyone's got a family member that probably also doesn't like them. And you have that one family member whose behavior is bad and character is bad. And God forgive you, deep down in your heart, you could be praying for them to die. Or you could be praying for them to fly off to another place and not come back ever again or see them ever again. But in Hagar's situation, God's like, I want you to go back to your family. And the reason why God does that is because he wants you to understand how to deal with that personality, how to handle such a person. You see, a lot of times as human beings, when we come across something difficult that we can't change, because you can't change anyone, you can't change anyone, you can't control anyone. The only thing we think of is to stay away from the situation, run away, move somewhere else, and lose all communication. But when it comes to family, God does not like that. You can do that with your friends. If your friend mistreat you, yeah, call off communication, whatever, cool. If it's your boss, your employee, your co-worker, church member, whatever, fine. But when it's family, God really values family. And God knows that that person is disrespecting you. God knows that that person isn't treating you with the utmost respect. But God keeps you in that situation because he wants to mold you and change you to know how to handle that personality. Even me talking to you guys, there is a family member that I also don't like, that I find it very hard and annoying to deal with. And I know that particular person will never, ever, ever change. And I've tried to step out of the situation, but I can't. But in the midst of that, God had changed my own character to know how to handle it, to the point that now when I see the person, I'm just like, oh, it doesn't even get to me. That's how you know you're changing. That person that used to irritate you, give you a headache. You know, there's some people, yeah, you don't like them to the point that you get migraines. The minute you see them, you get migraines. The minute you see them, you're stressed out. The minute you see them, your mood has changed. But when God starts to change your character, and how does he change it? He leaves you in that situation. And when he leaves you in that situation, you actually begin to change and you don't even realize it. And then you just say to yourself, wait, before I used to get pissed off when I used to see this person, but now I don't even care. Now it doesn't even, like, it doesn't even get to me. That's how you know you're changing. And the reason why, how do you know God's leaving you in the situation? Because financially you can't even afford to get out of the situation. That's a lot of people right now. How many people do you see on social media right now, especially on TikTok, complaining about family members, but they still got to live in that house, right? Because he's trying to mold your character. He's trying to mold your personality to know how to handle such person. Every personality that you see in your family, you're going to see it everywhere. You have a narcissistic family member, you're going to see that same behavior in the workplace, in the church, in the shops, on the streets, on the roads, in the dealership store. You're going to see it everywhere. You have a selfish person in your family, they're everywhere. So if you don't know how to deal with the personality, you don't know how to manage that personality within, you're going to struggle to have relationships when you go out. It's that simple, because you can't change these people. You cannot physically change these people, and God is not going to change those people without their permission, without allowing God to do so. So the only thing he's going to do is to change you. Is to change you in a way that you know how to handle such person. You know, maturing as a Christian is you not liking someone, but you can still laugh with them. You can still crack jokes with them. If they're lying on the floor and they need help, you'll still help them, even though deep down you might not like them. That's maturing in Christ, because you still have the love of God and you still understand that you have to be kind regardless to who it is. So God told her to go back to your family. And you see, the one thing about God is when God visits you in your situation, it comes with a promise. And God made a promise to Hagar that your son is going to be known all over the world. People will be against him and he will be against the people. Okay. And some people believe that these are the Arabs of the world right now. You know, your Palestinians, basically Arabs. I don't know whether that's true or not, but that's what some people believe it is, because it says that people will be against him and him against the world, right? So he'd be somebody who's well known, someone who's famous around the world. So when God visit you as a single mom, you might be struggling on your own. You might be in a situation that you never ever thought. You know, the worst thing that can happen is to get pregnant when you never planned for it, when you never even expected. That's something I've experienced. Getting pregnant at 16 is the most traumatizing thing I have ever faced in my life. Guys, it took me, my son is 14 right now. It took me 8 years to heal. I didn't see a therapist. I didn't see a counselor. It took me years to get over it. It was the most traumatizing thing I have ever, because I never ever thought in my life that I would get pregnant at 16. I can't even believe I went through that at 16. So traumatizing. But you know, for some other girl, that may have not been the traumatizing thing. But for me, it wasn't just the pregnancy. It was all the bullshit that I have to deal with around the pregnancy. The family member, the people, the child's father, the school that I had to go to. It was everything involving it. And I was going through depression for about 4 to 5 years after it. So I know what it's like to be so down in the midst of pregnancy. When you see other pregnant women excited, you see their husbands holding their arms, holding the shopping bags, taking their time to walk, their husband does the cooking, and then you look at yourself and you're like, damn, I'm on my own. You're pregnant on your own. You're looking for help. You don't get help. You want some cuddling at night. You can't get cuddling. You're excited to talk about this newborn, but you have no one to talk that to because the father of your child is not around. His family doesn't even support you. Your friends are sick and tired of the pregnancy stories. It can be really, really depressing. But you see, a relationship with God can change all of that. A relationship with God can make the process easier. It can make it less of a burden once you invite God over. And Hagar is lucky that God eventually came at a time that she didn't expect. He came when she ran away, when she felt like, look, I want to isolate from the world. I don't want to deal with anyone. I want to be left alone. Because when you're pregnant and you have to deal with a whole lot of bullshit and you've got a baby kicking you, punching you because the baby's having fun, the baby's in a different world compared to yours, all you want to do is isolate from the world and be left alone. And the midst of being left alone is when God visits you. Is when you hear that small, still voice that tells you what to do. When you decide to cancel all the noise, stay away from social media for a while, stay away from all the gossiping and all the celebrity news and the TV and everything, and decide that, you know what, I really just want to know, what does God have in store for me in this situation? And whatever he tells you is a promise that will keep you going. That would be the motivation to keep you going. That's the thing that will make you realize that it's not the end of the world. I can survive this. I can go through it. I can come out alive of this. There's still light at the end of this tunnel. I don't know how long it's going to take for me to see the light, but I am going to see that light. And that's exactly what happened to Hagar. And as for Hagar, eventually she went back home. She gave birth to that child. That child's name was Ishmael. And even though that child may have been treated a little bit like the outcast, but Abraham still took her back into that family. Abraham wasn't like, oh, you left one time, don't come back again. They still took her in. And when they took her back in and she gave birth to the son, it says there in verse 15 that Abraham called his son's name Ishmael. Okay? So Abraham embraced the son eventually. He didn't deny it. And a lot of single moms, let me just tell you something you're going to have to remember at the back of your head. That even if the father of your child decides to deny the pregnancy and he decides not to be around and all that kind of stuff, a time will come. It could be 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, 25 years from now, where he'll come back and claim it. Just remember that at the back of your head. Sometimes it happens when the kid's already 45. Sometimes it happens, it could happen at any time, but eventually it will happen because blood is thicker than water. And when you decide to deny somebody for that long, something will happen in life where the connection will be there. The connection will come back. Now, how do we avoid being the unexpected single mom? Because I've seen girls make a mistake, and from the mistakes they make, you just know deep down that they're going to end up being a single mom. So one of those things is to avoid sex before marriage. You know, as much as people like to come up with thousands of excuses as to why they think it's okay to have sex before marriage, there is so many cons to having sex before marriage. Now, every religion, as far as I'm aware, is against sex before marriage, I'm sure. I think for Muslims, it stands, I'm sure. The reason being is, when there is no sex before marriage, your eyes, your brain, your common sense is working and functioning well for you to know whether this is right, this is the right person you're going to be with for the rest of your life or not. The baby can't come into the picture if there is no sex anyway. So that's nothing to worry about. You know, before, let me tell you, when I was a teenager and I was fornicating, one of the most annoying thing, the thing that used to give me a headache, let me tell you, is after you're done having sexual intercourse with either the boyfriend or the guy you've met, then the next 20 to 25 days, you're looking for your period. You are looking every day, you're hoping that, okay, I hope the period comes. Even when the guy has used condoms or you've used a pill or whatever, you're hoping that this period will show up. This period needs to show up for the next 20 days or 21 days. And then when it arrives, then you're like, whew, okay, I'm not pregnant. Cool. Now you spend the next 4 to 5 days of your period like, oh, I'm in pain, I don't want to do anything, blah blah blah. Then you go back to fornicating again. Then you spend another 20 to 21 days hoping that it come. The 20 to 21 days hoping that the period will arrive is the bit that gives me migraine. Is the bit I cannot. It's probably one of the reasons why I wouldn't even go back to fornicating, because it's that risky that you're praying for that period to arrive. These days, because I don't involve myself in sexual activities, I'm not thinking about my period every single day. I'm not thinking about my period for the next 20 to 21 days. I'm chilled, I'm relaxed. It's not stressing me out. Do you understand? So there are so many cons to having sex before marriage than the pros. There's only one pro. You're enjoying yourself, period. Everything else is a con. There are girls who are sleeping with men and they have so much diseases going on in their reproductive system. Instead of them to take the time out to heal it, they're involving themselves in fornication, making the situation worse. Okay, so that's one of the ways to avoid being the unexpected single mom. The next one is, don't be a girlfriend to a man who's already married. Is a very risky game, because first of all, you don't even know the type of wife he's married to. Maybe she's someone who's crazy. Maybe she's someone who's got something going wrong up here. You don't know. And because the first wife has been introduced to the family legally and she signed the contract, if you become a girlfriend to a man who's already married, you have a lot to lose. You have nothing to gain. Because if that guy dies, the only person that is legally married to him is the first wife, not the girlfriend. I've said this before earlier on. The law does not recognize girlfriend as a big title. It's nothing. What's a girlfriend? A girl that became your friend is nothing. The only thing it's going to recognize is children, family, and wife. That's it. Girlfriend is not part of it. Partner is not part of it. Fiance, not part of it. Nothing. You have nothing to gain. So it's best you just don't play that game. The next one is, sometimes you cannot really 100% avoid being a single mom, because some of you who are married, your husband, God forbid, could die. You might end up being a single mom. Some of you were brought up in a home where parents sell their daughters to older men. And when you were young, you got with the older guy, you got pregnant, you found a way to escape, and now you're a single mom. But let me just say this. Even if you're a single mom, that doesn't mean that you're going to be a single mom for life. If you want to remarry, you can remarry. No dude is like, oh my God, I'm not getting with you because you're a single mom. If a guy says that, he's just not your man. I have seen so many single moms who've remarried. And honestly, the only difference is how you take care of yourself and those kids. That's the only difference. If you put yourself together, get it together, discipline your kids so they don't give you problems in the future, you won't have any issues remarrying again. So that's really it for this video. I hope this video has inspired you, and I hope you try your best. If you're not a single mom and you're watching this video, try and avoid being a single mom. If you're a single mom and you are watching this video, a relationship with God is so important because you are on your own in this situation, and some of you are not receiving support and you need God to just give you strength to keep you going. Okay, so that's it for this video. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I'm gonna see you all next time. Bye.